Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gents. Welcome back to High Top Sports. Today we're going to be doing a few things. Look, we had a show earlier today where we talked about, but just had a nice big win yesterday, and obviously defense had some sexiness to it, and we got some PFF scores. Shout out to Nick Marcinko for tweeting those out as always. Love those. Love getting to look at those because you watch the game, and you get a feel of what you think it looks like, right? And the numbers support sometimes you're feeling, or sometimes they go against what you're feeling. And I kind of want to go over that. But then there's something interesting, too, because Nick Del Torre always posts the snap counts of these guys. And sometimes we're kind of scratching our heads of, like, we feel who we think is the best player. And it's like, why aren't they on the field more? Obviously, personnel, given what plays being called, who we're going up against, I'm sure factors into that. But we also know about the substitution, the rotation that was happening on prior to that. And they've talked about that as well. Offensively, too, but offensively really seemed to click. The O-line found who their guys are. And R.J. Harris did not have a fantastic night according to PFF, but still carried a bulk of the snaps for that left guard position. But it was led by Barber, Crenshaw, and of course Slaughter, the three kind of guys. Love it. I think had an uptick in snaps as well. But I did a little nerded out a little bit. Just some charting going on here. But this is the first thing I want to do is the highest grade defense players, 10 snap minimum. So Tyreek Sapp had a 79.4. R.J. Moten, remember R.J. Moten, safety, transferred into linebacker with a 79.2. R.J. Moten had 15 snaps last night, but something, and we'll go over this too. There were 63 plays on defense compared to the Mississippi State game, which was 95. And again, I'll break all this down here in a minute. Bryce Thornton had himself a pick, playing obviously in lieu of Asa Turner being out, but man, I love seeing Bryce Thornton do his thing. He's kind of doing what Castell last year, stepping up in a big way. So it's cool to see those two young guys back there, both of them last night just communicating. Again, I went to the Tennessee game last year, and I feel like that was Jordan Castell's coming out game. Really found himself during that game, and that was a time when Thornton struggled, and he had to pull Thornton's head up and say, hey, you got this. And to see both of them last night be in unison, be in control and comfortable. That was cool to see it that come full circle within a year. And we talked about that with Zach Alberverdi at the beginning of the year of, this secondary didn't have much of a leadership, but everybody's looking around going, hey, who has the answers? And it was cool to see both guys looking like, hey, we got this. Obviously, Pyburn, whose snap count had a massive uptick. He had 25 snaps, but again, into consideration of what he did last time and how many snaps there were, it was up tremendously, which we'll talk about. And Caleb Banks, 75.6, I believe he was up in snap count as well. I think, yeah, by a lot, given the circumstances, and did a great job disrupting things. Big Dez as well. Big Dez did a great job, I feel like, filling in the gaps. And I think it was Sapp or somebody talked about filling in the gaps better. It looked like they controlled the pocket, right? Because understanding, hey, RJ could run this thing. RJ did not slice and dice this like I anticipated he would with his legs. So I love the discipline from the defense, and I think they did a good job of containing the pocket when need be. Obviously, he broke out a few. He's still a big body to go down. But those are big moments for me on the defensive thing. So look, when we're sitting here and I'm going through all these things, I kind of like, look, is there something to look forward to in this next week against Tennessee, which obviously held Nico, I think he had like 120 yards, what did he have? I was looking at it earlier. 156 yards throwing. And, it kind of reminds us, like, could they be that Milton-esque like team as they were last year? Could there be some holes and some gaps defensively? They still looked good. And look, they were kind of holding their own, got up 14-3 quick, and then just got shut down from there. So not 14-3 quick, but we're up 14-3. They kind of got shut down the first two quarters, didn't do much at all. And that was kind of what Florida was able to do to them. So, look, here's the pro to this game, and we'll talk about it more as the week goes on. This game is similar to what UCF was. UCF comes off a loss. We see a team beat UCF. They kind of give you the blueprint on how to beat them, right? Now we're coming back. We're going to Neyland. Arkansas kind of gives you a blueprint, right? So going into this game, people kept asking, obviously we talked about it, how do you feel? I said, look, like if you're looking at this and you make adjustments and you attack and you go after their weaknesses, hey, they're not great in the red zone, they're going to run the football, do these things, force them to throw, and then play your game, you will have success. And Florida executed that perfectly. and even throughout the entire game, first half, I mean, second half obviously was very lackluster from an offensive side of things. We understand that, but defensively, it was still there. So those things again were very promising to look at. I see a lot of people talking about too, like, is Billy back on the train? Look, I've always said it. We're in divorce mode right now. Like, he's cheated on me, but you know, he gave me a back rub last night. All right, so I'm not as upset with him. You feel me? I'm still he's still cheated, right? But I got a nice little back rub. So it's like, all right, we'll be civil, okay? But I need to see it consistently, because the problem is, and again, we've seen this, and honestly, if I have to play this card where I play basically the devil's advocate all year long just to be proven wrong, I'm completely cool with that. Because I called out Pyburn and these guys are saying, hey, we're gonna, talk is cheap. And usually if I hear it, I run with it. I was very reserved this time. Same thing. Got 2 wins under your belt. Momentum. Historically, momentum and Billy have not mixed. They have not done well together. Historically, Billy on the road have not done well together. So you've got 2 things that are not been in your favor coming up. On the road and momentum. Right? And yes, winning cures everything, Matt. That is 100% true. So that is something to obviously keep in mind as well. But look, those 2 things are big for me. Look, you historically in the last 2.5 years have not done well with these things. I've heard you talk about them. I've heard you say, hey, here's how we plan to address them. And I love that. I love that for you, Billy. But that doesn't mean you've done anything about it. So those things are what I'm looking forward to seeing how he moves into things. Now, I do want to go over what is going on here. This little snap chart that I have here, which is interesting. It breaks it down by some numbers. And then, look, you guys might look at this and go, what is this? And I'm trying to, again, see if there's a trend. We do know I did see Austin Armstrong on the sideline last night, meaning Ron Roberts is in the box. Ron obviously was on the sideline for the first couple of games, but last game, Mississippi State, and this game, he was in the box. Defensively, last game, we had a lot of frustrating things. So I don't know, and Ron Roberts was not on the sideline from my understanding. I didn't see him at least. This time he was, and we are assuming that Ron was up in the box. That little combo was nice because look, as much as we want to give Armstrong flack for his lack of calling, his energy and excitement on the sideline was unmatched. It was something that we need to see. So Scott O'Toole, you're saying start Gums is interesting, but he had one of the lowest PFF scores out of our guys, in the lowest in the bottom 5 with like a 53. Again, that doesn't always tell the entire story because you see his energy. And again, maybe Gums is more of a pass rusher, can play that better than the run stop. That's a big factor too to keep in mind because obviously this team was a heavy run team, so those play a big factor. But before I read all that, did Rocket Money find you any subscriptions you forgot about, or any you paid for twice and didn't realize it? Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and help slow your bills so you can grow your savings. Look, the reason why I love it and why I've talked about it, I've said this before, it's like your personal little accountant. You can link up all of your accounts to the app. It's like a little dashboard, shows you what's got coming in, what's got going out. So not only will it manage your subscriptions, right, and help you see those things that you can't see, it's everyday things. Helps you like, hey, look, we want to save, so let's put this away, and you can kind of slowly start seeing it go out. If you go and you buy coffee, sometimes you buy 2 or 3 coffees, you forget about it. You take a look at that, and it's in a certain little bit of color. You're like, hey, I spent too much of this color this week. So in a world that's moving very fast and times when things are getting more expensive, it's important to keep track of those things. And that's a fantastic thing that Rocket Money does. Again, it's like your own little personal accountant. So Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's features. Stop wasting your money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/hightopsports. That's rocketmoney.com/hightopsports. rocketmoney.com /hightopsports. Number 13 on D was killing it. Culiet was there, was Aaron Gates, and by golly, he was. Now, we are going to take a look at this little chart here, and you're probably like, what are we looking at? And I can't really see it, so I'm going to pull it up big on my end here. So, this tells you the red is a decrease in snaps. Now, the column B was the snaps from the Mississippi State game, and obviously you see, well, it's 84-36. That's a massive change. But again, we had 95 total snaps compared to 63. Okay? So what I did is like what the 63 to 90 is about 66%. So if your snaps were 66% to last week, essentially you played the same, you had the same impact on the game. If you were above 66% or higher, you had essentially an uptick in snaps, which means your presence was felt more on the football field. Because when I first saw this, I'm like, man, I feel like these guys played a lot more. And I was right, they did. But when you first look at the numbers, it doesn't make sense. Because Sharif Denson is somebody that we kind of looked good, but he had some struggles last week. And I'm like, I feel like he didn't play a lot. We saw a lot more of Aaron Gates, things like that. Sharif Denson had only 42%. So he had, again, 66 would have been basically had the same amount of snaps. He had a downtick. Jason Marshall, somebody who I felt like didn't play enough, had 68, and he played 63 out of 63 snaps. Keep that in mind. He played 100% of the game last night compared to previously. He sat out a couple of plays when Sharif Denson almost played the entire game. So big time pickup there. Shamar James played a lot more. I felt like he played a lot. Derek Wingwood was not in the game at all. Don't know if it was injury, what have you. But RJ Moten, Pup Howard, and Shamar James, it seemed to be those were the three guys, and then Aaron Childs and Miles Graham were kind of tossed in there a little bit. But it was definitely the Shamar James and Pup Howard show, which was great seeing that communication go on all night long. Devin Moore, 64%. He was about equivalent to what he was. Bryce Thornton, 78%. So again, 66% would have been like a huge uptick for him, and it definitely paid dividends. He had a phenomenal game, especially with a pick six. Jordan Castell, 78%. Tricrest Bridges went down to 42%. I like to believe, again, that necessarily isn't a shot towards him or like, hey, we're going away from Bridges. I think they go, hey, they're not passing the ball a lot, right? We've got to get our fast kind of tiny cornerbacks in to guard the slants, and let's get more linebackers in to protect the run. That's my thought process on this. Grayson Howard, Pup Howard, 74%. Again, like I said, on the football field a lot. Tyreek Sapp, 25% was not on the football field a lot, although he was disruptive when he was. So whatever, and again, I think this has a lot to do with him not rotating a lot. I think they're keeping that edge position fresh. I believe Boone had an uptick, so maybe Boone had a bigger uptick, so Boone seemed to have more of a presence in this game. And again, could it be due to the fact KJ Jefferson's a little bit bigger? Boone provides a better pass rush or a run block. Those are my thoughts. Jaden Robinson, somebody who I've been excited about, a little bit of a smaller linebacker compared to the RJ Motens, the Pup Howard, the Shamar James. You got to think like, hey, they took his snaps down a little bit. Cameron James, he had 39 snaps and 95 plays. He had 39 of 63. So the guy played a massive uptick in comparison to the game, right? In comparison to the game. Dejon Johnson didn't play at all from what I saw. George Gums had an uptick, not very much, about equivalent to what he has been doing. Cam Jackson, again, played a much more impact to the game, 100% more. He played the same amount of snaps, again, in less plays. Caleb Banks, 112. So he went from 33 with 95 plays to 37. Caleb Banks, we saw and heard his name a lot, getting to the backfield a lot. Very effective. Jack Pyburn, again, another one. 25 to 25, but 25 out of 95 to 25 out of 63. A much more impact. Justice Boone had 14, and an uptick for him. And then RJ Milton was another big one who had 15 out of 63. So can you take a lot from this? I don't know, but I wanted to see if there was a little bit of a trend. If could this be? But what I do like is that, look, they made adjustments given what was on the football field. We see, hey, this is how they're going to play the ball. These are the guys that give us the best opportunity in this particular situation. So this could be a cool exercise we do next week, right? A little bit different situation. Same situation with a mobile quarterback, but expect him to throw more. They do run the ball very effectively and efficiently as well, too. So maybe we see a similar defense run out onto the football field in the sense of snaps and whatnot. We'll see a lot more of Jack Pyburn, I imagine. Again, these cornerbacks, I don't hate to see this defense. There isn't anybody on here. I'm like, man, I wish we would have seen more of him. Kelby Collins, again, to somebody we were kind of wondering, scratching our head, where's he's at. DeAndre Robinson had 11 snaps. Again, true freshman, more than Kelby, but Kelly is changing into that position there. DJ Douglas had a decrease in snaps, which I know a lot of you are more excited about given the performance the prior week. He went from 40 to 20. So it's a 50%. So again, much less to what he was. Still similar to that 66% number, but all in all, again, do with this numbers with what you will. But it is just something interesting to look at that I wanted to go over to talk about and see if there is any kind of trend and see how the defense is being called because we heard about this defense all last week and how the changes were. So we got a presser tomorrow. We'll have the breakdown with Stephen Harris tomorrow on Champ's Corner, which will be fun. And then we'll go from there on the pressers and hear what they had to say, and probably we'll get some more questions. Obviously, I'm sure the writers and things like that will go through these things and formulate some questions as well. So I love it. That's all I have for you guys. Little late night show. But that was all I got. I wanted to go over some things that I was kind of going through, watching the film back and seeing these things. I mean, this is kind of cool. It kind of has its own little, it's the nerd side of it, right? Kind of into the numbers a little bit more. But I did want to talk about it on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. So hope you guys are doing well. We'll see you tomorrow live at 8:35 for, of course, Champs Quarter. So be sure to smash the like button, subscribe. More Sprito. He had one snap, and we'll see you boys in the next one. Peace and love, baby.